That's right. He's Jon Goyens. He is a former QMJHL head coach, and he's in today for the coach's room to break down some video on the St. Louis Blues, who have won 10 straight. John, we're going to need to start getting to digits now when it comes to the Blues and this winning streak. It's been incredible to watch. But when you look at this team, and particularly, let's start with how they've defended off of the rush, maybe a Jim Montgomery staple. How or what have the Blues done to become one of the better teams in that area that's helped turn their season around?
Really simple. It's, we covered the Blues December 3rd on this show, and it was about getting everybody on the same page, especially without the puck. And it's how quickly they reload. And they're content. Colby, as a defenseman, would tell you first, when you own inside dots and you don't play for necessarily a system where it's like, always got to pressure. And we see these teams that get burnt outside dots. What they do is their D lead the way. They get back inside dots, and then they allow their forwards to kill plays in and around the red line. And then the D are content with backing off a little bit and killing rushes, not necessarily lunging at the blue line, killing them a little later, or being patient to the point where you buy time for forwards to get back, and then you could have numbers. And in the clips that we're going to fire up here, you're going to see how quickly they reload into a 1-2-2, or that they just get back inside dots, and especially their D buy time for the forwards to get inside the picture. And they are first since the Four Nations for rush goals against. And they just don't give up a lot, and they don't get extended. So let's fire up these clips, because we're going to see how quickly, watch the 2D, they just slide back inside dots. They're calm, and watch, they drift over together, and they allow neighbors to take the weak side. And again, even on the stop up by McKinnon, they reload back to the middle, buying time. Here, opportunities, surf above one, surf with the second, reload back into the inside. But every time you force a delay, you allow the forward to jump that delay. When you've got the support, then you could skate forward. And who better to skate forward than Cam Fowler? Great addition for St. Louis. Again, St. Louis backs off. They own the dots. They buy time for forwards. And I picked these clips against Colorado specifically because it's a high transition team. Here against Montreal, watch that shift back inside dots calmly. They don't lunge. They don't get overextended. And anytime a team or a player delays or stops up, he belongs to the forward. Again, back off, buy time for your forwards to get back. Great stick by Fasca, and it's up in the stands. Watch here by Tucker. He recognizes that there's another player coming. Shift to the dots. What does that do? You buy time, great stick, and you're staying on your feet, Colby, which we both agree you got to stay on your feet as much as possible. One last one. Adjust from last night. Inside dots, allow the forwards to steer towards the D, and it's one of the only times you'll see their St. Louis Blues D get outside dots is if a forward can steer them right into that defenseman.
So, John, you talked already about the fact that you last discussed this topic December 3rd on this show, and you talked about playing fast, right? And that's obviously an area that this team has excelled at. It's an area that we all talk about in the game of hockey. I mean, it almost is one of those, in my opinion, overly used buzzwords, right? Since the Four Nations, St. Louis has been able to counter better than probably any team in the National Hockey League, or right there with the best. So what have you seen and been able to dissect that sort of shows their ability to execute fast, right, and play fast? And I'm air quoting. I know I'm cutting to the smaller box here, from defending to kind of going back onto offense.
Yeah, and you're right. The playing fast is such a buzz term, and you see it in every press conference that a coach, when they get hired. But the reality is playing fast is not just a physical attribute. It's the ability to think the game fast, support the game quickly with and without the puck. And they do it by first killing the rush against, and then it's underhandling the puck. I'm a big believer, underhandle the puck. And all five players have to find ways to jump into holes, whether it be 5 feet, 85 feet wide, 50 feet up, whatever it is, they like the slash and pull. It's how quickly guys jump into the hole. So you're going to see on about 3 out of the 8 or so clips, you're going to see Broberg jump in. You're going to see Justin Falk jump in from 200 feet away. If you don't have all 5 guys as an opportunity to create and support, then it's one and dones. You're not even getting to the red line with any type of support. And it's the 5 guys that are fully invested in being involved in the offense, from killing it on the rush against, from killing it from the D zone coverage, all the way up the ice, and how quickly they do it. So let's fire up these clips. So watch Nashville. They reload, reset into your 1-2-2. Don't get extended. No problem. Here, your forwards are going to take care of in and around the red line in the 1-2-2. Push it. Watch how quickly Falk jumps in. So he affects the depth. That creates room for Holloway. He's the 4th man on the rush. Again, 1-2-2, D inside dots. Boom. Quick little chip, and they will come at you quickly. They won't force bad passes. They'll allow the skills of Jake Neighbors to put that under the bar. Once again, they outnumber you inside their blue. Little chip up. East-west to Broberg, and watch Broberg go all the way to the second post and bury that against Washington. Again, wanted to pick clips against some of the better teams in the league. Here against Winnipeg, they get physical and aggressive outside dots. Boom, it's in the back of the net. Logan Stanley stays inside dots. Doesn't happen. Shrink the zone. Look for inside options. Look at Justin Falk. He was below the goal line. If he does not continue with his puck pursuit, you don't have a goal in about 7 seconds from 200 feet. Again, D-zone, look at these little touches. Nobody's overhandling it. Attack the inside, and you get a guy like Shen that stops right on the doorstep. And it's not just the big dogs. Sure, it's Thomas that cuts it off, but look, Toropchenko just drive that middle, use his reach, and then Walker follows up the play. And again, you're going from hash marks in your zone up the ice in about 6 to 7 seconds. They don't mess around, and it's from top to bottom, your 4 lines and your 3 D pairs.
John,
it's really difficult.
Think fast more. Sorry, Frank. I just, I wish coaches at younger ages would say think fast, right? Instead of it's always play fast, because too many guys can play fast. Their brains can't keep up with their feet and their stick skills these days.
It's like a chicken with a head cut off.
John, if you could assign a percentage to this, I know this is a loaded question, but since this is mostly the same roster, just the addition of Cam Fowler, what percentage would you apply the Blues' rise in the standings to become a playoff team solely to coaching?
70%.
Wow.
Honestly.
Interesting.
I mean, it's not like a lot of the other coaching bumps that are like immediate, and it's like, it's that new girlfriend type of thing where everything's exciting for about 3-4 weeks, a month, and then it kind of tapers off. This was kind of like the slow burn. And the fact that he was signed for 5 years and he was in it for the long term, it was going to be a bit of that slow burn, and it's built up to the point where that pot is just boiling hot, and they are just outstanding in all facets of the game.
I give Doug Armstrong a lot of credit. I don't know that he's necessarily a big believer in his roster, but had a ton of conviction to step up. Jim Montgomery's available. Okay, fine. We're firing our coach that we just gave a new deal to a few months ago. This is the right guy for us. He previously worked here. Boom. Go out and do it. Go make it happen. If you're that big of a believer, don't hem and haw. And that's where the Blues deserve a ton of credit. Jon Goyens, you deserve a ton of credit for knocking it out of the park again on this week's edition of The Coach's Room, presented by Charm Diamonds. Thanks a lot, John. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a good one, guys.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.